It's summer. Today, they are visiting Dad's childhood friend in East Berlin. They, that's Mom, Dad, the older brother, and the little girl. The girl was born in February 1976 in a strange little country whose leaders once upon a time had decided to build a big wall around it so that no bad people could get in, or so they claimed. But the little girl already knew only too well no one could get out either. Her life was one of longing to see what lay beyond that wall. Was there anything at all? Today, it's the girl's first big trip from the East German countryside. She's very excited as they're driving their Wartburg into the city.
Meanwhile, in the western part of the city, there is another little girl on her way home from school. She was born in April 1979 on what she perceived as an artificial island called West Berlin. She grew up in an apartment facing the train rails that connected her island with the rest of West Germany. Being surrounded by the East and having people refer to places in the South as West Germany definitely messed up her geographic sense of orientation. As she was a slow but creative learner, her parents decided to send her to a private Steiner school at the other end of town, right in front of the Berlin Wall. Every day, together with her classmates, she takes the public transportation system, the underground railway and buses, to get there. On this specific day, they are in an adventurous mood and want to try out a different way home. They get off the bus at Kurt-Schumacher-Platz and take an underground train that somehow goes into the right direction, but it is totally unknown to them. The U6.
In East Berlin, the family rings their friend's doorbell. As the door opens, they enter a cozy apartment. The girl remembers the fluffy white mohair rug in the hallway. She feels an urge to lie down and pet it, but manages to resist. Dad's friend Martin is a good-natured fellow with a boisterously funny wife, Rosie. Their kids are grown up already. There's a lot of hugging and laughter now. They don't see each other very often. The little girl and her brother get cookies. As Dad, Mom, Martin and Rosie retreat to the living room, chattering noisily all the while, the girl and her brother are left on their own to explore the apartment. When the girl's brother discovers a remote-controlled People's Police car toy and starts racing about with it, the little girl quietly slips away into one of the former children's rooms and carefully closes the door behind her. The girl glances across the room. She switches on the radio. Udo Jürgens sings about never having been to New York and San Francisco. That's got to be Rias, a West Berlin radio station that East Germans crave but can only receive in the greater Berlin area. The little girl knows it already because Mom and Dad make it a point only to listen to Western radio or to watch Western TV. The girl turns up the volume just a little bit, carefully checking not to have it on too loud. Playfully she touches the globe on the windowsill. She doesn't yet know her way around it, but it sure fascinates her. She looks out the window. It's a sunny day. The city in front of the window is so much bigger than her small town. She remembers the Brandenburg Gate. They saw it earlier that day during a walk in the neighborhood. She remembers that ugly wall running right behind it, the statue on top glittering in the sun. The song ends and the girl switches off the radio. There's another one of those white mohair rugs on the floor in front of the desk. She yawns. Why not lie down now? As she's lying on the floor, she can suddenly hear a sort of rumble coming from below. Just a short rumble and gone. Silence. She holds her breath, waits. There it is again. She doesn't know what that rumble is. Is she scared? No, just wondering. There it is again. And another. always a brief interval of silence in between. The girl darts to her feet and runs to the living room. What's this rumbling noise? It's a short rumble, then it stops, and after a while there's another one. What is it?
At Kurt-Schumacher-Platz in the west, the girl enters the U6 with her friends. For the first few stations, she enjoys the ride. She feels independent and grown up. But her joyful and proud laughter stops abruptly when the train does not stop anymore. It passes through numerous, dimly lit, dark and empty ghost stations that look like construction sites. Passing through those stations, the train slows down. It does not stop. In the tunnel, it regains speed. The girl panics. She realizes that they are in the east. Even more disturbing, they are underneath the east. One of her friends starts to cry, wondering if they will ever get back to their parents. Is the train really taking them to their home destinations? Will they have to stay in the east? There are other passengers, but this does not prevent the children from feeling lost and alone. Islands have funny shapes sometimes, especially artificial ones. After passing several ghost stations, the train reaches a normal, brightly lit station with people waiting on the platform. They are back in the west. Remembering the situation from her adult perspective, it feels like a scene in slow motion or like being in a differently colored film. The train stops and the girl gets off as fast as she can, relieved. Together with her classmates, she runs towards a public phone box and calls her friends' parents to come and pick them up. They have tears in their eyes, but somehow they also feel like heroes, just for one day.
Back in the East Berlin apartment, the grown-ups are having a glass of wine and seem quite unwound. They tell the girl that it's the rumble of an underground train running right underneath the house. How fascinating. The little girl's never been on an underground train. Can we go, maybe tomorrow, before heading back home? She asks. They cannot go. They cannot take that train. Why not? Why not right underneath the house where they are staying tonight? It would be so much fun to think of the house above, the cozy apartment, their joyful friends while passing by underneath. They should go. The girl's father has this peculiar smile. It's a smile of knowing and caring, a bit mischievous as well, while reflecting the absurdity of life and concluding that the only thing one can do about it is smile. He says that the train she hears doesn't exist. Bummer. How can the train not exist, the girl wonders. She heard it. She even felt it. They explain that it's a ghost train. Oh no, spooky! A ghost train? Does it have real ghosts on board? Would they come up to the apartment? She'd rather not have ghosts in the house. No, they explain to her, no ghosts. It's a train passing from West Berlin to West Berlin, underneath a little stretch of East Berlin. It's not about white bedsheet ghosts. It's a train that never stops in East Berlin, so they won't ever be able to get onto that train. That's why they call it a ghost train. They can hear it, they can feel it, but it's not a part of their world, which is why it doesn't exist. Bummer again. That's a lot to digest. The little girl spends the afternoon lying on the white mohair rug on the floor in a strange children's room in an odd city or 2 odd cities, listening to trains that aren't really there. It's quite a bit to swallow for a little girl. But it's also kind of curious and even comforting. It's a pleasant rumble, and the girl is quite content as she's dozing off in the late afternoon sun, wrapped up in the rumble of ghost trains.